Hello, I hope we're live. We are here in Rome, and I'm happy to start our Q&A session. I know that many of you are right now watching it, and so we will begin in just a few minutes when the internet connection will allow me to watch your questions running right now. And I will start with the one from Jennifer from Utah. And do you have any advice of how to talk to a predominantly Jewish community about Jesus and the true Word of God? It's not about Ezekiel, it's not about prophecy, but I believe it's a crucial question because we do believe that the only hope for Israel is Jesus. The only hope for Israel is their Messiah, and the only hope for the Middle East, if we talk about peace, is the Prince of Peace. And therefore, it's a good question, and let me tell you this: don't ever come to a Jewish person and quote a New Testament verse. It's really not going to help. He doesn't know the New Testament. He doesn't think the New Testament is part of his Word of God. And it's interesting because Jesus never ever quoted the New Testament even once in his entire ministry. Paul never quoted the New Testament. Peter never quoted the New Testament. And all I'm saying is that it is okay to use the Old Testament to be able to prove that Jesus is the Messiah. If he did that about himself, you can do that as well. And that is by saying that I encourage you to study the Old Testament, because Jesus is from Genesis all the way to the books of the prophets, and he himself said in the book of Luke, in the last chapter, he said that all that is written in the law and the Psalms and the prophets must be fulfilled, in which all that is written in the law, the Psalms, and the prophets must be fulfilled. He never talked about New Testament. He talked about the Old Testament. So you can come to a Jew and you can prove the messiahship of Jesus, but don't deal with the New Testament with them. By the time they already believe, it will be easier to get them to the New Testament. And I will also tell you, especially when you're dealing with the Jewish people that are Israelis, take them to Jeremiah 31 verse 31, because there you have the prophecy about God giving to Israel a New Testament, a new covenant. And so if they say the New Testament is not for us, actually you can tell them your own prophet says, or God spoke to your own prophet saying that he's about to give them a New Testament. I urge you to go online to my message on YouTube, Jesus in the Old Testament. There's a whole message from the book of Genesis all the way I took you, and you can clearly see how to literally prove that Jesus indeed is the Messiah, even for the Jewish people. Now, let's continue with Carol from Washington State. And Carol wrote me, UNESCO's resolution passed last week that denies Jewish heritage and history to the Temple Mount and Jerusalem on Thursday. Why is the world/UN so adamant about erasing the Jews from the temple? It's very, very simple. You have to understand that Jerusalem is going to be what the Bible describes in the book of Zechariah as a cup of poison, as a stone that anyone who touches it will be scratched by it. Jerusalem is basically going to be the biggest issue for which, or over which, people are going to fight in the Middle East. Now, if everybody is going to admit and agree that the Jewish people are the true owners of the Temple Mount, what will they get? They get fight from where? From the Muslim world. So it's much easier always to sacrifice the Jewish side, which is much smaller, about 12 million, 18 million around the world, rather than get in trouble with the Arab world. But you have to understand, I mean, let's not pretend that it's only UNESCO. It has to be very clear. There's not even a single country in the world that recognizes Jerusalem as the capital of Israel. No one. In fact, all the embassies of the foreign countries that have relations with Israel are not even located in Jerusalem. They're all located in Tel Aviv. The only embassy in Jerusalem is the Christian embassy. It's a group of Christians that wanted to make a difference and wanted to protest, and so they have that. And that's the group that is celebrating right now the Feast of Tabernacles in Jerusalem. So, to that question, don't expect from the UN anything. Sorry, somebody is sitting in front of me whose family is working in the UN. But we all know the UN is predominantly comprised of non-democratic countries to begin with, and most of them aren't really sympathizing with Israel because of the fact that the Arab world is so powerful and so influential. So it's just a fact that we have to get used to it.